Hey, my name is Kashif. I've been living in Woodinville since 2020. I'm the resident of Woodinville City. I think we met once in my home, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm the president of the local HOA of our community, and I've been working as an HOA president for about 4 years since I moved here. So yeah, I think otherwise my full-time job is I work in an IT company as an engineering manager. So that's my full-time job.
Okay. I guess we'll just go right down the line. Councilmember Evans, you get the first question.
Great, thank you. And thank you for raising your hand, Mr. Truman. And I'm sorry for my voice. Okay, here's the question. To effectively plan for Woodinville's current and future requirements, we need commissioners who can evaluate the facts presented, weigh the benefits and trade-offs to the taxpayers of Woodinville, and who understand that growth must happen per the Growth Management Act, or GMA. Our planning commissioners must not allow rumors, political agendas, organized social pressure, and disinformation to cloud their judgment. How will you ensure that you understand and fairly apply all applicable laws, codes, and approved growth plans, such as the Transportation Master Plan and the Housing Action Plan, when voting on Planning Commission recommendations?
So I have been working as an engineering manager in an IT company, and I've also been part of the IT committee for the North Shore School District for 1 year, where we had to basically go through the similar kind of things that, what are the recommendations we should do for the North Shore students during the COVID and after COVID for, selecting what is the right approach to provide devices, not to provide devices, how to basically manage that, and all those kind of things, right? So we did go through all the, collected all the information, how much time students have to spend in the class, what are the devices which can be useful for them, is it every student can have a different device or same device, what is the pros and cons for each of those, right? And how much can the taxpayers basically fund whichever basically device or the approach we take, right? So I've gone through some of that actually in that committee, and it was a good insight basically how to basically collect all the facts, make decisions based on that, right, and how to basically apply that in the classroom setting as well. Also in the HOA. I'm the president of the HOA. We go through all the same kind of things as well. That I had to work with the city council as well. Should we basically work with city council to make sure that the common areas, how do we manage that? There was a dispute about the lighting, the street lights that we had to basically resolve with the city council as well, where we have to basically get all the facts that when it was basically decided by the developer who should pay for that, and what are the things so anyways, I've been working with the HOA as a president for most of those things. I worked in the North Shore School District Technology Committee as well, and in my day job as well, that's part of my job to basically work with my team to present the best decision which is possible based on the facts, based on the available resources and all that we have to do.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
Councilmember Edwards.
Thank you. What do you believe is an important planning issue facing the city at this time, and what are a few ideas you have for addressing this issue?
So my ideas might not be popular, but I think for the Woodinville City is more of a urban place, right? Where the rural place where there are homes with a lot of space, and I think there is a need for in the city center areas for more multifamily housing, so that we can basically make sure that there is the pricing the home prices that are going up because, like, there is less homes to build because there is, like, every home needs more space. If we can basically have multifamily housing in the center, that can help reduce some of the, like, the home prices that are going up uncontrollably as well. So if there are things that we can do around that, that'll be useful.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Randolph.
Welcome this evening. Thank you for coming. Woodinville is a growing community with many complex perspectives that we have to align and keep separate as a planning community. We have a rural community, an agricultural community in the far back, and an urban community that we're trying to grow. Given that many new perspectives are coming into Woodinville, what new, unique, or missing perspectives would you bring to the Planning Commission?
So I think I can say even in this whole room, I'm the only one with, like, from a certain background, I guess, right? So I can definitely bring that perspective from, somebody who have worked in IT industry. I'm basically, from a group of, like, background that can provide a different perspective as well, right? Like, and I moved here as I'm the HOA president as well. I work with a lot of people who has basically, I've been representing them as well, right? Like, I hear a lot of things from them as well about, like, what are the things that we can do better? Although those are related mostly, like, how to work with the city government to resolve some of the conflicts that the homeowners have. But, like, I do have that perspective from them as well, that, what are the things that they need to get resolved as well, right? So I think some of those things can be useful. I will admit I haven't worked in the, like, I haven't been as closely involved in the city projects and planning and all those things, but I've been more involved with, like, working with the city council and city government for the HOA related stuff that I've been basically, working with. So I might not know 100% about what the planning commissioner does, but I do have, some point of views from the, from as an outsider, I guess, right? And, can bring in some different perspective from that side.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bess Campbell.
I know this is really nerve-wracking. It's okay. There's not wrong answers or right answers,
Sure.
so you're okay.
Absolutely.
In the past few years, we've seen the loss of some retail and commercial jobs and space as parts of our city have redeveloped. With the prospect of more development on the horizon, how do you propose the city manage growth to maintain and grow our commercial and industrial businesses?
So I think, again, coming from an IT side, right, like, online retailers are getting pretty, like, important, which is impacting the in, like, brick and mortar stores, actually, right? That is one of the things, but I think there are, like, some things about security that has to be taken care of course, right? Like, to make sure that, stores feel secure and they don't basically have any problems with, like, break-ins and all that, right? Like shoplifting and all. The other thing is, I think post-COVID, there hasn't been enough push to bring back the consumers back to the stores, right? Like, and provide enough resources to them and make sure that, they can basically push for, like, even for the hotels, the restaurants and, small mom and pop shops, they did struggle during COVID, right? And they had to shut down and they had to basically be supported with enough resources to make sure they can bring back the consumers, maybe, some incentives about, I don't know, tax reduction or maybe some other, if there are possibilities to make sure that, they can bring back some of those things, right? It might be a little bit different topic, but I do remember once I was in hospital for some general checkup, and the nurse, we were talking about especially the problems that they were facing during COVID for online learnings, actually, right? because not everybody, again, I'm bringing example from my North Shore experience, but they were struggling to basically work their jobs and provide support to students for online learning as well, right? With an understanding, with also a problem that they were not savvy enough for technology and how to basically set up the computers for the kids to get them basically online learning and all those kind of things, right? So people who have to basically work in these kind of different situations, they have to be supported actually to make sure that they can go to a store, do their day job as well, right? And provide them some incentives at least, right, from the city government or other places.
Thank you. Councilmember Arndt.
Thank you. Given the city's need to plan for affordable housing at all levels, what actions do you think the city should be undertaking to meet those goals?
So I think I mentioned one of the things where multifamily housing is definitely one of the options that cities should definitely consider and expand a little bit more. And I know there are some programs where there are income groups where only certain people can basically buy a certain type of property, which is basically just forced in that income group, right? Those kind of programs can be improved a little bit more as well to make sure that we can have enough housing available for people who need it, right? I do know from, again, North Shore experience, right? There are pretty high, the amount of taxes, the property taxes that get collected from Woodinville area, overall North Shore, but Woodinville is part of that as well, right, are pretty high, right? There are a lot of people who have big expensive homes, including myself, as well, right? But if we can make sure that, the properties, the multifamily homes and the homes that are specific to the income groups are provided for those income group, people, that'll be very useful in this case, I think.
Councilmember Taylor.
Okay. Are you familiar with the city motto, country living, city style?
I'm sorry, I have not.
Okay. And the second part of that is, what does this mean to you as a planning commissioner?
So, as I said that, I didn't know about that. I think we do have a clear, Woodinville, I think, is pretty big, right? There are a lot of areas where there are, agricultural land and even, farmland or farmhouse style, houses, which are pretty big in terms of, land, but, one home on it, right? I'm not saying that, we should basically change those areas, but what I'm saying is that, the center part of the Woodinville city where there is an opportunity to basically increase multifamily housing, that should be considered and that should be basically discussed in the Planning Commission as well. And if there are projects that can help in those areas, we should definitely take a look at that. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear about that motto before, read about that. I will definitely go back and look into that for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And last question, tell us why, I think you've covered some of this, but my question is, tell us why you want to be on planning and how would you approach balancing the growth and preserving the Woodinville character?
So, honestly speaking, why I applied for this job was basically I've been working as an HOA president, right? And I've been working with people, I've been listening to a few things. So, it was just like a kind of can I bring that perspective or a different perspective to the Planning Commission as well? There was an opening, so I thought I'll just apply and see, where it goes, I guess, right? And that's one of the things. The second thing is that, honestly speaking, the housing market, the way it's been recently going out of hand in terms of pricing and all, I think there has to be some considerations about like, how do we basically make sure that people who want a home can have a home, and if cities can help in those, those parts as well, right? Like, either by providing, housing for the income group. I'm forgetting the name exactly what it is called, but like, either that or multifamily homes with like, low cost homes that are available for everyone who wants to get it, right? Again, my opinions might be a little unpopular about that, but like, generally what happens is that people like us, I have a big home as well, don't generally agree with the multifamily homes if it is in their backyard. Rather, somebody else's backyard is fine. Yeah, build something in somebody else's backyard. My backyard don't even come near me, right? I think that's the mindset that we need to change, and we need to have, like, all of us need to be more open to opportunities where there are multifamily homes, possibilities, and the city should support those. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you spending your time and willing to step up and volunteer. You can stay for the next ones if you'd like.
That's okay. I'll go out. I'll probably just,
Okay.
go out. Okay. Thank you. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you.